Welcome to the leading podcast for long-term weight management. Subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Jenny on all social media channels. You can also sign up to the newsletter to receive frequent content and tips for weight loss success.
Hey guys, welcome to the Power Over Food podcast. I am your host, Jenny McDonald. I'm an eating behaviour coach. Welcome if this is the first time you have listened to the show. As I say, my name's Jenny and I work with professional ladies, mainly ladies, to help them change their relationship with food, break free from the dieting cycle and find peace with themselves and food. So today's episode is slightly different and basically, it is how to smash your 2022 goals. But what this episode is a recording of a masterclass I ran last week. When you listen to this, it'll probably be a little bit more than a week. But I ran a masterclass in my private Facebook group for the ladies there on how to smash your goals in 2022. And I took them through quite a long process. So have your pen ready, have a notepad ready. Feel free to keep pressing pause as we go through because we've taken out all the gaps so that you've got a smooth listening, or if you're listening in your car or out for a walk, then go back and go through the questions again. It's really, really important to get it all down on paper so that you can map out what you want to achieve this year. So I will hand you over to the recording. Enjoy. I'm really super excited to welcome to you to how to smash your 2022 goals. Today, I want to leave you feeling fired up and ready for 2022. So I'm going to share some things that I use, some strategies that I use when I am setting my goals. Now, obviously this group is about finding a peaceful relationship with food, but I also want you to be thinking or encourage you to think about all areas of your life, because every strategy that I show you is literally how I evaluate and goal set in my whole life. So whether that is in your career, family goals, relationship goals, holiday goals, whatever you want, you can apply these strategies. So I'm going to help you review your year and set your plan for 2022. I'm going to share some thoughts on why we don't set goals and why we certainly don't achieve goals. We just kind of have wishes, and some additional strategies to help ensure that this year is different for you and that you reach your goals. So let me know in the comments if you're already a goal setter. Let me know if you set your goals. Just drop me a message. Sometimes people start the new year with resolutions and they're kind of goals, but they're a little bit fluffy, if you like. It's kind of like, oh yeah, this year I'd like to do X, but we don't really kind of plan it any further than that. And that's usually why it gets to the end of the year and we haven't done X, whatever X is. And all I ask in return of today is, number one, that you stick to the plan that you create today so that you follow it through. Number two, keep me posted. So whether that is dropping me a message, whether it's posting within this group, but let me know how it's going. And number three, share the love. If you enjoy this session, if you're enjoying my podcast, then please share it with others, share it on your social media, tag me or send the links to your friends or invite them to this group so that they can also benefit from all of this free training and the free content that I'm putting out to help you with. Something I just want you to think about, first of all, is you are capable, okay? You are more than capable of having the relationship with food that you want, the goals that you want to achieve, the career you want, whatever it is you want in your life, you are more than capable. All it is about is putting into practice a few simple strategies and planning and then doing everything you plan. So I'll take you through my method of planning. As I said at the beginning, it's something that I do every year and you can use this in any area of your life. And one of the reasons I started planning is because I do believe that we spend a lot of time wishing things we were different. I know I spent a lot of time wishing that I could wake up thin. I used to go to bed every night and wish and hope and pray that I would wake up thin. And I would make promises to the universe like, I'll never eat chocolate again if I can just lose this weight. I'll never do this. I'll never do that. And I think one day I woke up and realized that all the wishing, hoping and praying for something doesn't make it happen. We have to go out there and get what we want. We have to make the changes we want, whether that's with our relationship with food or anything else. And I also believe that we shouldn't settle for things that we're not happy with. But I do think that many of us will say, and I certainly used to say, it's just the way it is. It's just how I am. I'm obviously meant to be this way. It's because of my family. It's because I have a stressful job. I just have to live with it. Okay. And the reality is we don't have to live with anything. We can change. I know there's a few things in our lives that unfortunately we can't change, but the majority of things we can make the changes if we just put our mind to it. So I don't want you to settle. If you're not happy with something, then don't settle for it. Set your plan today and go out and get it and smash it and have what you want to achieve. I don't have magical powers. I'm the same as you. I grew up very, very overweight. I developed a really unhealthy relationship with food. I was secret eating. My mum was trying to help me with it. I hated exercise. I still hate exercise, if I'm honest, but I'm working on that one. What I'm trying to say is I haven't got magical powers. You can do this. You absolutely can. And I still have challenges and life throws things at you, but it's just about finding ways to manage some of the crappy things that life throws at us. Okay. Now, I also think the reason we don't set goals is because we are fearful. Sometimes we're maybe kind of scared to dream too big in case we can't achieve it. There's many reasons for this. And I think sometimes it's because we're setting the goals from where we are right now. So, for example, if you are 5 stone heavier than you would like to be, and you're in a place where you don't want to be, then you can be trapped with negative beliefs and thoughts. And that doesn't help, because then you resign yourself to, well, it's not going to happen. Even if I set that goal, it's not going to happen. Or I'm scared that, so many people say to me, I'm scared that if I tell people that I'm working with you, they'll tell me it won't work. And they're probably right. So we stay in that place of this isn't going to work. I'm too scared that I might set myself that goal and I don't achieve it. And sometimes it's easier. And remember, if you've heard me talk about our inner self, our sloth brain, it's there to protect us and keep us safe. So it's almost that part of our brain's job to keep us safe and say, don't aim that high, because if you don't achieve it, you're going to be disappointed. Okay. So if that's where you are, in that fear of, I don't want to set that goal in case I don't achieve it, then I invite you to just get in touch with your inner self and just remind her that you are working towards a better relationship with food, and that you are on a journey that is completely safe, and you need her to work with you, and you need her to just ask her to come on board. Okay. And just be aware of what she's saying. Just be aware of some of those thoughts. I always like to look at it through my little girl's eyes, because she's 7, and every day I tell her that she can do anything, that anything is possible. And this does bite me on the bum sometimes, because when I say she can't do something, she says, but you've told me I can do anything. But I do think that when you see children growing up, they have this belief that they can be anything they want to be. You see children saying, I'm going to be a millionaire when I grow up, or I'm going to be a pop star, or, I'm going to be whatever. I'm going to run a business. And the only reason that we get to adults and we don't follow those dreams is because of the knocks that we take as we go through life. And some of those knocks fill us with self-doubt that make us feel that what we want to achieve is impossible. I want you to just try and allow yourself today to dream big, and try not to allow your limiting beliefs, your self-doubt, to cloud your thinking. Another reason that I think we don't achieve our goals, so that's why we don't set our goals. Some of the reasons we don't achieve our goals is quite simply we don't plan. If you think about changing your relationship with food, you're trying to change years, sometimes 10, 20, 30, maybe even 40 years of eating in habits that don't serve you, not eating to nourish your body, And just having that destructive relationship with food, and probably years of being on and off dietings and have so much mixed messages about what you should and shouldn't be eating. So when you embark on this journey to change your relationship with food, let me ask you, how much time do you spend planning that? So you have a goal in mind, and maybe your goal is to lose 3 stone, but how much time do you really put into planning? Now, you might put a little bit of time into meal prep or start looking at recipes and things like that. Maybe you even do yourself a menu for the week. But how much time do you put into changing your relationship with food? Because I believe pretty much whatever we plan happens, apart from COVID times, because obviously that scuppered it for all of us. But if you think about when let's say you plan a holiday, okay, how many hours do you put into planning a 7-day holiday? So just for 7 days of your life, you start researching on Google, you read travel reviews, you decide which company to book through, or if you're going to book it separately, you ask other people that have been to that place, you look at different times to go on the plane, and you probably spend, let's say you spend 7 hours in total with all your shopping and your packing and everything else. Let's say you spend 7 hours. And actually, when I think about it, I definitely spend a lot more. So 7 hours for a 7-day holiday. That's quite a lot of time for 7 days. Now, when you're buying a house, you spend even more time. Yeah, you're looking for your maybe forever home or your next home, and you spend a lot of time researching your location, looking on Rightmove, looking at estate agents. You set your budget out, you see a mortgage advisor, or you look at how much you can afford, how much your payments will be. You think about the number of bedrooms you want. When you find houses, you look at the plan. Would that work for us as a family, or would it work for me if I'm living alone? Has it got a garage? Has it got a drive? So there's so many factors that go in to planning to move house. And your holiday, your house move, it all happens because you have created a plan and you work at that plan and you stick to the plan. So when we are making lifetime changes, we take that time to plan, we execute the plan, we get the results. Okay, so I think you can see where I'm going here. We need to have a firm plan. But before we start the plan, we also need to review. So something I always start my year with is thinking about the previous year. So normally I do this at the end of December as things quieten down. So I'm going to take you through some questions. So hopefully you guys have got a notepad, and I just want you to ask yourself these questions. Now, if you are here to change your relationship with food, ask these questions in terms of maybe your overall header is changing my relationship with food. And then you're going to ask yourself these questions. If you want to focus on something else like changing my career, then you can ask yourself, put that as your title. So what I'm saying is you can use these questions for any area of your life. So first question, what worked for you in 2021? So in terms of trying to change your relationship with food, what worked for you? Because my guess is you've been trying for a while, maybe a few years, maybe even longer. What did work for you in 2021 when it came to changing your relationship with food? Okay, so just take a moment to think about what worked for you, or what has worked for you so far when it comes to changing your relationship with food. When have you been successful? And you might think, oh yeah, I went on that diet back in 2015 and I lost 3 stone and I was really great for a while. So you might think, well, that diet was successful. So the next question is, what didn't work? Okay. So what didn't work for you, whether that's in 2021 or over the past few years of dieting, what didn't work for you? And the chances are what has worked for you is when you've stuck to a diet. What doesn't work for you is when you're not on a diet. But what I don't want you to gain from that is that you need to be on a diet for the rest of your life, because that is absolute rubbish, because when we are following someone else's diet, what happens is we can only do that for a set amount of time. We will only follow the rules. It's human nature. You're only going to follow what someone else tells you to do for a certain amount of time until you feel frustrated that you're doing something that someone's told you to do, restricted, and until you throw in the towel. I really want you to just bear that in mind as we move forward. I also want you to think about what your biggest time wasters were. So where have you wasted lots of time around your relationship with food? Maybe you've spent hours and hours reading other people's success stories and wishing that you could have the results that they have. I speak to so many people and they say, well, I'm following this lady on Instagram and she's lost this much weight and she's doing this and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And we can become obsessive with everybody else. And actually, if I'm honest, it really doesn't matter how many people you look at, it's what you do. We can compare ourselves to everybody else and look at trying to find the answer with what everybody else is doing. And actually the answer is within you. I would say that's quite a big time waster, watching what other people are doing. Something else I like to ask myself is, what was my biggest achievement in 2021? Now, this doesn't have to be around weight loss and food. It can be anything. But I like to acknowledge what biggest achievements are, because I believe that we are very hard on ourselves. And I believe that we spend a lot of time thinking that we are not good enough, not good at things. So I invite you to think about what your biggest achievement was. What have you achieved, whether that was last year or the year before? I know a lot of things have changed because of COVID, but what have been your biggest achievements? And here's another one. What excuses did I use in 2021? I know one of my biggest excuses used to be, I haven't got time. That was a big excuse for me. I haven't got time to do this, or I'm not going to have enough time. And actually, I tell you where you'll find your time: in your mobile phone. Okay. If you go and look at your screen time and how much time you spend on your mobile, I guarantee you'll probably claw back about 3 to 5 hours a day. But it's a great thing to set yourself some boundaries around how much you look at your phone. Now, here is a good question. What is the one thing that I might feel uncomfortable doing, but I know if I commit to it, it will yield me great results? So what is the one thing that is niggling in your head that you've probably been thinking about for the last year and thinking, I know if I did more of this, or if I worked on that, things would change for me? It might be uncomfortable, but things would change for me. What is that one thing? It might feel uncomfortable. It might be your biggest challenge, but you know if you commit to it, it will yield you great results. Now, I tell you what, for me, this is journaling every day, and this is working with a trainer. And I spent, for the first time ever, I worked with a personal trainer last year for 6 months, and our contract finished at Christmas, and it kept me accountable. And whilst I now know what to do, and I've got my exercise equipment at home, it's about being accountable. I haven't renewed with her, and I haven't exercised since our last session. So I know that I need to commit my time and my money to her so that I am accountable, because I know I felt amazing for those 6 months while I was training with her. But that's just me personally. But I also know journaling every day really, really helps me. And again, I'm a little bit out of the habit with Christmas, with getting up later and things like that. I need to get back into that habit, because that has slipped a little bit for me. But I know they create great results for me. And I know that I feel so much better when I do those things. Just a couple of other review questions before we move on to planning. I want you to think about the people in your lives, about friends and colleagues. And I want you to think, and this is kind of sometimes a difficult thing to do, but who has a negative impact in your life? Okay, because we all have people in our lives that have a negative impact. You know, the people that I call them energy vampires, they drain your energy. So you might go for a coffee with them, and every single time you meet with them, because of the place they are in their lives, and because they may be in quite a negative energy place, you come away and you feel literally drained. Okay, so I want you to think about the people that you spend time with who has a negative impact on your life. And I also want you to think about who has a positive impact on your life, who leaves you feeling happy, energized, and feeling good about yourself and feeling good about life after you spent time with them. And who leaves you just thinking, gosh, what's this all about? What's the point? Yeah, they're right. Life is miserable. Okay. I really want you to think about that, because keeping our mental health, keeping ourselves in balance, in able to achieve what we want in life, one of the key things is surrounding yourself with positive people, working with people, being friends and close with people that are going to lift you up, that are striving to have the best possible life, the best healthy life, the best life in their career, with their family. If you are surrounded by people that are always feeling sorry for themselves, that are not wanting to move forward with their life, whether that is with their relationship with food, whether it's any other area of their life, but they're kind of like the victim position where it's like, it's not my fault, I can't do anything about it, it's always going to be this way, then you can ask yourself, who do you want to spend more time with this year? And who do you want to spend less time with this year? As I say, this is quite difficult because it might be somebody that, you know, you do spend a lot of time with, but it may be that you decide that you're going to shorten that a little bit, that you're going to be a little bit busy when they ask, and that you're not going to see them as much. And that can be really, really hard. But you do need to think about whether you are surrounding yourself with positive people and whether you are working towards your goals with people that are going to support you with your goals. Okay. I know when I embarked on my weight loss journey, I lost some friends along the way. And it was really interesting to see which friends were like, come on, you can do this. And which friends were like, you're not going to stick to that. You know, who wanted the best for me. And when I looked around, the people that wanted the best for me were the people that were happy in their lives. They were not necessarily slim people, but just happy in their lives. They were okay with what they got, and they wanted me to be happy. And they knew if I got a grip with my relationship, I would be happy. So therefore, they'd encourage me to do that. So that gives you a good overview of how your last year was, what worked well, what didn't work well. And I hope I'm not going too fast, because I'm trying to fill time to give you time to fill these in, but I also don't want to just sit in silence for a long time. So hopefully you're managing to scribble, and don't forget you can go over this and pause the video if you want to. So that gives you a good overview, what worked, what didn't. And I think it's really rare that we sit and do things like this. It's really, really rare that we evaluate our lives. So that's why I think it's so good to do once a year. And you can do this once a month if you want to. So let's look specifically at changing your relationship with food and planning to smash that goal. So number one, it's about setting your goal. As I say, your goal might be to lose a certain amount of weight. I also invite you to think about finding peace with food rather than just making your goal a weight loss goal. It might be to be slim for a wedding in 2 months, 3 months. It might be to be slim for a holiday. But the danger is with setting goals to be slim for an event or to lose weight for an event is that once that event has passed, we go back to our old behaviour. I've lost count of how many ladies I've helped to lose weight for their wedding. And then they go, thank you very much, I did it. I'm slim for my wedding, brilliant. And they come back to me 2-3 years later because they've lost their way with food. Part of that is because our plan is to lose weight for that date. We don't think about what we want for the future. Really, my goal now is to have a peaceful relationship with food forever. It's an ongoing goal and it's ongoing work. It's not like oh, I'm going to get to June and my peaceful relationship with food has happened and that's it, I'm cured and it'll be there for the rest of my life. It is a work in progress. And I think when we look at things like that as a work in progress, we accept more that we're not going to be perfect all the time. This is for the rest of our lives, rather than when we go on a diet and we think we've got to be perfect for this set amount of time, and then we can go back to eating whatever we want. I want you to check that your goal is, we can say SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timed. And I know that you will have all heard of that, but I think the key is making your goal specific and measurable. And you probably know that I'm not always a fan of weighing because I think we can get obsessed with the scales, but it is good to think about how you are going to measure that goal. That might be measuring it with the scales, but you might not be weighing as regularly. I definitely don't recommend daily, but it might be measuring it with measurements. It might be measuring with feelings, like rating your feelings every day. Because if you rate your feelings on a scale of 1 to 10, for example, and I'm literally just thinking off the top of my head, but how do you feel at the end of every day when you've had a peaceful day with food? Like, to me, when I have a good day with food, it's like 9 and a 10. When I know that I haven't had a peaceful day with food, then my feelings usually quite low. So just think about how you can rate this goal. I want you to write down now a list of things that you need to help you achieve this. Okay, so what is going to help you do this? Write anything down, even if you're thinking, or maybe you're thinking like, I'm going to go to the gym, but I can't afford it. Still write the gym down, because you can work out the finer details afterwards. Okay, so just write down anything in the world that you think would help you get fit, have a better relationship with food, stop emotional eating, lose that half a stone by the end of March, get back onto your healthy eating plan. What things will help you do that? What do you know will help you do that? So jot that down now. And try and be really deep about this, because the standard thing is, when I say to people, so what will help you do that? I always get, well, if I stick to my diet. And it's like, well, yeah, okay. But let's think, what will help you do that? So if that is your answer, okay, well, how are you going to make sure you stick to the plan? I don't like using the word stick to the diet, because I'm not anti-diet, but I think, sometimes when we talk about diet, it's like we're on or off this diet. So how are you going to stick to the plan? Okay, well, I'm going to meal prep every Sunday. Well, what about when things come up that throw you and you, as Emma says, you want to emotionally eat? Well, how are you going to work on that? Okay, well, I'm going to work on my thoughts. Well, how are you going to work on your thoughts? Okay, I'm going to keep a journal. Okay, when are you going to write in your journal? Ooh, okay, well, when I remember. No, when are you going to write in your journal? Okay, I'm going to write in my journal every morning or every evening or every lunchtime. So, you are getting down to the nitty gritty. This is where kind of your planning starts. You are fine tuning. If you're going to go to the gym, okay, well, when are you going to the gym? All right, then I'm going to go to the gym on Monday, Wednesdays and Friday. Okay, well, what happens when you don't feel like it? How are you going to make sure you go? Oh, I'm going to go with a gym partner, so we always go. Well, what if they're sick? Oh, well, I'm going to, so, you set yourself up for inevitable success. There's a great book, going off topic a little bit, but, well, not really, but it's really helpful. Mel Robbins, The 5-Second Rule, and you can listen to it on Audible. And she basically talks about how she literally turned her life around with the 5-second rule. And you count down. So I use this to get out of the bed in the morning, because most mornings I get up at 5 a.m. to do some studying and some work before the rest of the house gets up, and I do my morning routine of journaling and things. And all you do, literally, when your alarm goes off and you think I'm going to snooze, you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch out of bed. So it's like a rocket launching. So whenever you think I don't want to do that, like I don't want to put my trainers on and go for a walk, you do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get your trainers on. You have to count down, not up, because if you count up, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and just carry on counting. But she uses it, and she started using it herself. And then when she did some research, she realized that there's a lot of scientific reasons why that really, really works, which she will explain in the book. And I think accountability is key. And I'll talk about that a little bit later, but I know we always think we should be able to do it on our own. There is no shame, if you like, in having someone to keep you accountable. And actually, when you think about the world's successful people, successful athletes, successful celebrities or business people, they all work with coaches, with personal trainers, with whatever it is, wherever they feel they need that accountability, they need that support, whether it's emotional support, whether it's nutrition advice, they work with people to get them to where they need to be. I talked about kind of fine-tuning exactly what's going to help you get there. Some of the things you might need to think about is what might get in your way, because I think that things do get in our way, and that's a really good question to ask yourself each week. What might get in my way this week? Or if you're journaling daily, what might get in my way tomorrow or today? And then you can try and plan around it. So just for example, if you've set up for the week and you feel like really fired up, you've got your plan for the week, but you know you've got 2 occasions out. What might get in my way might be those 2 occasions out. Okay, well, what can I do about it? Well, actually, I know where we're going. I can look at the menu. I can make some choices. So you're preparing yourself. If you know you've got something that might affect you emotionally and lead you to food, right? Okay, well, what might get in my way? Well, I've got that meeting and that stresses me out and I'm thinking about that and that's just making me want to turn to food. Okay, well, let's work through my thoughts and let's work on that area, so that you are constantly trying to help yourself develop this better relationship with yourself and therefore a better relationship with food. Something I always say to my ladies that I work with is I want you to see this process as an experiment. This year you are going to discover how you enjoy eating, what gives your body energy, what takes it away, and how to nourish and care for your body like never before. And if you start seeing things as an experiment and as a journey, if you like, then again, it's like there's not an end point. We're not on a deadline. It's like, well, let's be kind to ourselves. Let's work this out. Think about what you are willing to commit to doing as well, because it's no good saying I need to go to the gym 4 times a week if you really don't want to go to the gym. I'm a big believer in not committing to anything that you don't want to do. You don't need to go cold turkey and give up everything that you love. If that's what you want to do, if that's what you choose to do, and I know some of you know that I lost weight on a very low calorie diet and I did step away from food, and that was right for me at that time in my life. It might not be right for me now because I'm in a different place in my life, but at that time it was just what I needed to do. But I think we are convinced, particularly at this time of year by the dieting industry, that we need to go on all in and we need to do this and do that. And it's actually changing your relationship with food is a process. It's not a diet. It's about getting in touch with who you are. It is about journaling. It is about managing your thoughts and your feelings and your relationship with food. It is about becoming more aware of why you emotionally eat. And we put ourselves, like, I'm thinking the other day, someone said to me, I'm a stress eater. And it's like, no, are you a stress eater, or have you developed some habits that you eat when you're stressed out? Because actually, if you say I'm a stress eater or I'm an emotional eater, then you are labeling yourself. And when you put that label on yourself, that is what you will continue to be. Okay, so I invite you to change that label if you do label yourself with something. I am someone who is working on my relationship with food. Much nicer label, okay, and it much more productive. And when you're thinking in that way, you are forward thinking rather than keeping yourself stuck. I also invite you to break your goal into smaller chunks, because I think the other thing we do is we go, right, 2022, I am going to lose 6 stone this year. That's my goal. That's what I'm going to do. And all we focus on is trying to, I want to be 6 stone lighter. So how about putting your goal into smaller chunks? How about if you say, I would like to lose 7 pounds by, somebody said, I'd like to lose half a stone by the end of March. So set your goal as just, a few pounds. And what you can do is kind of break this down over the next year and set little maybe milestones at the end of each month, so that you can say, right, by the end of January I'd like to achieve this, by the end of February I'd like to achieve that. And this is literally how I plan my goals. I've got a spreadsheet that I use, and I set out my whole year. And when I was launching my podcast, I was like, right, I want to launch my podcast by the October. And then I was like, right, I want to do a podcast every fortnight for the next year. And that's what I set out to do. And that is what I did. I think I maybe missed one at Christmas or in the summer, but it is planning and saying, right, this month, these are the targets I need to hit to stay on plan. So you are really breaking down your goal. And if your goal is, as I say, a healthy, peaceful relationship with food, then maybe at the end of each month or the end of each week, even, you review and say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much peace have I had with food? And you think about your 21 meals or the day you've, eaten other things, and was that a choice that you're really comfortable and happy with? And it might well be, or was it something off plan that you wasn't expecting and that you want to review? And then rather than beating yourself up if you don't hit that target, you go, okay, this is an experiment. This is a process. I'm working this out. Right. I didn't hit that target. At the end of January, I don't feel how I wanted to feel when I set these goals on the 8th of January. So what didn't I follow through with? And it may be that you did follow through with everything, but your plan needs tweaking, or that you need more support. And we'll talk about support and accountability afterwards. But you can then really kind of home in on what needs to happen. And then you reset your February goal. And then at the end of February, you go, right, did I achieve that? Do I feel how I want to feel? Have the scales come down how I wanted them to? Or my measurements, or however, do I fit in those jeans again? However you're measuring this. What else I do is I give myself little rewards. I reward not with food. I am not a dog. I don't reward myself with food. I don't give myself treats with food. I still eat food for pleasure, but food isn't a reward. So your reward at the end of January might be, I've had a really peaceful relationship with food this month. I'm going to have a massage or my nails done, or I'm going to sit in a coffee shop with a magazine for an hour on my own. And that might be something really cheap and simple to do, but it might be something you never, ever allow yourself time to do. So you say, right, that is what I'm going to do. I'm putting it in my diary. I'm going to have an hour to myself. It might be that you buy yourself flowers, or that you buy yourself some clothes, or whatever it is that you like doing. We're all different. It might be that you go for a nice long walk, or you play tennis, or go for a bike ride. So create a plan, small chunks. What do you need to do to achieve it? Small chunks with rewards at the end. Review each week, each month even, so that you have a clear plan. Now, all you need to do then is be consistent, because if you follow your plan each month, you will hit your goal. Here are some of the key things that I do on a daily or weekly basis. This is one that I've only just learned, and I'm finding this really, really helpful. Write your goal down every single day. Okay, it doesn't matter where you write it. You can journal every day and write it in your journal. You can remember in the middle of the day and just write it on a piece of paper, write it at the top of your to-do list, write it on a beer mat, whatever. But write your goal down every single day. And you can write it however you want. You can write it as if you've already achieved it. I am 10 stone. Every day you write down, I am 10 stone. I have a peaceful relationship with food. I have a peaceful relationship with food. Just write it down every single day. You are putting it out there to the universe that is what you want. You are affirming to yourself that is what you're aiming for. You can write it as if you've already achieved it in a gratitude way. So I'm so happy and grateful now that I am ... You can write it down as if it's easy. Why is it so easy that I now have a peaceful relationship with food? And if you ask yourself it as a question like that, then what tends to happen is you get lots of answers coming back at you through the day that remind you that it is easy, and they give you the answers. Things fall into place for you. When you're saying to yourself, why is it so hard that I can never get things right with food? Why am I so addicted to food? Why do I always eat when I'm stressed? And then all that happens is that's what you attract. That's what comes in. You eat when you're stressed. Okay. So write your goal down every day. Now, I encourage you to meditate on your goal every day as well. So maybe when you write it down, you just sit, even if it's just for 1 minute, but ideally a few minutes, and you just visualize yourself. So you visualize yourself having that peaceful relationship with food, being in that new job, being in that new relationship, being on that holiday. You sit and you just imagine, and you allow your thoughts to run away with you. You imagine the feeling that you have when you have this peaceful relationship with food. You imagine how it feels to get dressed, how to put those clothes on. So you are constantly affirming and working towards that relationship with food. Now, the other thing I said, I come back to it, was accountability. How can you be accountable to somebody else? I would invite you to choose a few people who can be your rocks and hold each other accountable. How can you work together? How can you lift each other up? Set up a support group. What about the ladies here? Yeah, the ladies that do this, maybe at the end of this post, or maybe I can put another post out if it's of interest to people, where people can hook up with accountability buddies. Maybe that you WhatsApp or you Facebook message, or you set up a FaceTime once a week where you check in with each other. But accountability is so key. And quite often what happens is we do these things with our friends, and when one of us comes off track, the other one comes off track, and one of us can't be bothered to go to the gym, the other one doesn't, and it just kind of falls flat. So you're probably better setting up accountability with somebody you don't know as well, but somebody that has a common goal with you, so that you can both work through things together. Or, if you want to, then work with a coach, work with somebody that will hold you accountable, that is going to show up for you every single time, because that is what they're there to do. I'm nearly there, guys. Thank you for staying with me. Just some other things to think about why you might not invest in yourself, and that might be having a gym membership. It might be using HelloFresh or something like that. It might be investing time in yourself, time to plan, time to prep, time to journal, time to work on your mindset. And the top 7 reasons, I've been doing a bit of research on this, and I was reading an article, it was in Forbes, but the top 7 reasons people don't tend to invest in themselves is the money. Either they don't have the money, or they're worried about if they spend their money, it won't give them the results that they want because of those inner self-doubts. Time, we believe that we haven't got time, or the timing feels off because of other things in our lives, and we put it off. But then we find that we always put it off because there's always things in our lives. So it feels too hard to commit because of time constraints. The inability to tell good from the bad. So we might look at something we want to invest in, like a gym, but then we look at 5 or 6 gyms and they're also differently priced, and we think, don't really know whether I want to invest my money in any of them because I'm not sure which is good and which is bad. It might be the same with a coach. No trust or faith in the outcomes. We have grown very skeptical of promises made by people on the internet, particularly, and there's a lot of people out there, aren't there, that are selling their wares. We lack trust or faith that what they are saying you can achieve will actually happen, and we don't want our dreams to be shattered by investing and then not seeing those results. Personal pride, thinking we should do this ourselves. This is a real biggie. I think a lot of us think asking for help is weak or reveals vulnerability. Often this mindset is rooted in our programming from childhood, thinking that we should only rely on ourselves, and that admitting that we need help is almost some sort of failure. Okay. Next one, number 6, is it? Not knowing where to look, not knowing, and just thinking, I know I need help with this, but I don't know where to go. And that's maybe time to do a little bit of research and things. But sometimes people say to me, I've had counselling, it doesn't work. And it's very important that whatever help you get the right help, because counselling is very different to coaching. Mindset work is very different to working with a counsellor and going over past traumas and things. There's forward thinking work and there's reviewing what's happened in the past. Whilst they're all interconnected, there's different ways of working, and it's about finding the way of working that is right for you. And then finally, a relentless feeling of incompetency, inadequacy. This is kind of another deep one. We feel ashamed or embarrassed for asking help. We don't have the confidence to believe we can kind of work on the advice that we're given. So we just think, well, even if they ask me to do something, or even if they've given me a plan, I'm not going to follow it. And that again is where working, depending on who you're working with, they won't tell you what to do. They will help you find a way of what to do. Accountability is key in whichever way you choose to get it. So I hope that has helped you. I hope that you have managed to complete the questions. I hope that you are feeling fired up and ready to smash 2022. If you want to work with me, then drop me a DM. My next slots are coming free at the end of February. I think I've got some more slots coming free, and there'll be some more group programs coming over the next couple of months. So guys, I hope you found that really, really helpful, and I would love to hear your feedback on it. I'd love to hear what goals you've set yourself, so feel free to drop me a message, catch up with me on social media, and have a great rest of your day, week, wherever you are in the world. Take care, guys.